Well, good Thursday evening. Thank you for joining us here on WLTX Plus streaming services. I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afante. Well, updating on the tropics or the tropical activity or their lack of, whichever way you look at it. We finally got the final notification from the National Hurricane Center. This was as of 8 o'clock this evening. Well, the tropical wave is pretty much done. There is no chance of it becoming a tropical complex, but nevertheless, it's still an area of low pressure, and it's parked right over areas about Slidell, Louisiana. And high pressure and low pressure is actually squeezing a lot of strong winds right across the northern portions of Florida, right along the Florida-Georgia line. But the impacts to that tropical wave, well, it's all said and done. That high pressure, though, that's going to be a big focal point to our upcoming weather. Really not just upcoming weather for the next day, for right through the weekend and to be into the start of next weekend. Even that area of low pressure that's not tropical is just a very broad area of low pressure sandwiched between the southeast coast of Florida and the Bahamian Islands. But for what it's worth, that tropical wave, now just an area of low pressure, there's all indications still that by the time we get to early Monday morning, probably about sunrise, it's going to be positioned somewhere between Little Rock to Memphis, maybe Starkville, Mississippi, to as far north as Monroe, Louisiana. But that position by Monday, considering it is Thursday night, that leaves wide open everything from us in the Carolinas all the way to the Mississippi River Valley. There's a reason why, because for one, there still is going to be heavy rainfall, not only as we go through tonight in that area, but the focal point will be from the Mississippi Delta up the Mississippi River and pretty much everybody east except for most of Georgia and South Carolina. On Friday, same area. It almost is boxed out of Georgia and South Carolina. We get to Saturday, still generally in the same area. Then we get to Sunday. Again, Monday morning is going to be positioned somewhere around Jackson, Mississippi to Little Rock. But Sunday, it's still going to be pushing all of that moisture. So still a risk for marginal to a slight risk of heavy rainfall. It's still well away from South Carolina with the exception of just a sliver of the upstate. But Monday, now we have from pretty much Nashville through Atlanta, all the way down into areas, into the capital city in Florida, and everybody east to the coast, a marginal risk. That's not a big risk. It's a marginal risk. We could have some brief but heavy rainfall. Well, why is that a big deal? Well, fortunately, we've got an extremely isolated chance for any precipitation tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday. Well, if you didn't want the rain, especially for the weekend, congratulations. You're very likely not going to get the rain, so make plans to enjoy the summer weather. Plan accordingly, though. Monday, when we have the return of rainfall, that could be heavy, but the rainfall chance is going to continue Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Not really big change of what we had been discussing from earlier this afternoon, even last night. Here comes the change. Our impacts are going to be on the high end Friday, tomorrow, right through Monday. Although we're expecting rain on Monday, and even though we are expecting rain for Tuesday and Wednesday, Tuesday through Thursday, the rainfall we're not really expecting. There's no anticipation at this time of heavy rainfall that could be leading to flooding. But for the next 4 afternoons, here's the issue. The reason why we have a News 19 weather impact alert is because of the heat and humidity, specifically in the afternoon and just the ballpark timing, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the earliest to as late as 10 o'clock at night. That puts it about an hour and a half after sunset. Now, the overall scope is that the heat index values could reach up to 107 degrees, and that's in the shade. So if you are prone to heat-related illness, even to the point where really nobody wants to get a sunstroke, I will tell you, honestly, I have dealt with 3 incidents of heat-related illness, and it is not a very pleasant feeling. Limit time outside, and especially under the sun. If you got to be outside, whether it's for work or for play, definitely limit the amount of time that you're going to be outside in the sun. Get some shade, take as many breaks as you can, 30 to 40 minutes at a time. Drink plenty of water over and over again, whether you want to or not, to keep yourself hydrated. The heat index value That is the temperature of what it feels like in the shade. Now, a lot of football programs now in the Carolinas are using something called the wet bulb global temperature. Let me just put that in very simple terms. The heat index value is the air temperature, how humid it is, and what it feels like in the shade. The wet bulb global temperature that a lot of athletics are using now takes into account for how much cloud coverage or their lack of, but basically what it feels like right in the middle of the field under the sun. The temperature is going to be a little bit more realistic to what it feels like, and there's a very likelihood that the wet bulb global temperature, especially that we're not expecting that much rain, could feel more like 110 or more. So keep that in mind, that when you hear about the heat index value, that's in the shade. Regardless, what we're looking at is the air temperatures. The highs are still going to be in the upper 90s and then dropping into the low to mid 90s by Tuesday through Thursday. But there's going to be enough conditions that the heat indexes in many areas, and this is going to be on the low end, could get up to 102 on Wednesday to as high as 107 on Monday. Please keep note of that because, again, Friday through Sunday, we're not expecting any rain at all. The National Weather Service offices have already issued a heat advisory for portions of South Carolina, primarily for the Grand Strand and points inland, and then the Wilmington, North Carolina office, excuse me, as well as the Raleigh offices have issued a heat advisory for pretty much the eastern half of North Carolina, and that goes until Friday. So they've already issued it now, even though it's not in effect for now, it's for tomorrow. You go well out to our west, they already have heat advisories for the areas around Memphis into northern Mississippi, and then extreme heat warnings south of Memphis going into the northern portions of Arkansas, into Little Rock and Jonesboro. The extreme heat warning, they're expecting heat indices to exceed 108 to 110. So these are volatile conditions that nobody wants to be outside. There's nobody else that has been under an advisory or a warning. That could easily change by tomorrow and really any given day. These are the projections, and I want you to understand that these are projections. They may be different in reality when the time comes, maybe 1 or 3 degrees. If it's 104 or if it's 101, it doesn't matter. It is very dangerously hot. And even though the criteria for a heat advisory may be anywhere from 105 to 108, even if we don't have an advisory, this is what we're expecting in the tri-state for tomorrow. Heat indices in a good portions of Georgia may be in the upper 90s, but the vast majority of the Carolinas are going to be between 100 and possibly 106. You go into Saturday, it's gotten a little bit worse in some areas. Now we're seeing 107s in portions of the central Savannah River area, into the PD, and even into a good portion of the Piedmont. Sunday, well, some areas get even hotter. Now we're seeing 108. Monday, well, we're looking at maybe 111 in North Augusta, 107 in Charleston, 103 in Charlotte. But here's the catch. Notice the temperatures in the northern portions from Winston-Salem all the way across to Raleigh-Durham in the 90s. Here's the reason why. Monday is the opportunity where we're going to have the next chance for rainfall. Okay, not everyone's going to get it, but there's going to be, at the very least, enough cloud coverage that it won't be air temperature as hot. Therefore, the humidity levels, regardless of how high it is, we're not talking about heat indices over 105. Monday morning, the anticipation is there's going to be quite a bit of cloud coverage in the Carolinas, but there's also the potential for some rainfall already starting Monday morning. There is the likelihood of widely scattered showers, and very likely in the form of storms, as we get into Monday late afternoon. That will definitely help squash the high heat and humidity. But again, that's the time frame that we're expecting the rainfall to come through, and that pretty much goes right through Monday afternoon, Monday evening, and Monday overnight. So at least many areas of the Carolinas and a good portion of Georgia may finally cool down after 3 to 4 days of sweltering heat. So to wrap this, again, the tropical wave is no longer a tropical wave. It's just an area of low pressure. It is not a tropical event concern, but the concern is that as an area of low pressure dragging a lot of moisture out of the Gulf, by Monday morning, it's going to be well out to our west in the Mississippi Valley. But in the wake of it, everybody to the east of that, including the Carolinas, we're looking at, by Monday, the potential for heavy rainfall, but more importantly, the News 19 weather impact alert for the next 4 days, with the potential of the heat index values being well over 100, that you really need to pay attention to what that temperature is, because the overall scope is that we're looking at a heat index Friday, Saturday, Sunday of up to 106, Monday possibly up to 107, and Tuesday up to 103. But like I've said time and time again, don't change any of your plans, especially for the weekend. Just stay weather aware. We're going to continue to update these forecasts to help you plan out your day for Friday, for the weekend, and when we start off next week. But for now, I'm News 19 Chief Meteorologist Efren Afante. Have a good evening, and we'll see you later.